All right, welcome to episode 32 of the Sundowners Golf Club podcast. I'm Giovanni with my co-host here, Matt Caldwell, and we are also happy to bring on a new guest to the episode. We've got Levi Dronen here. Levi is he's a friend of mine through pickleball. He's a friend of Matt's through all sorts of military veteran engagement. We didn't know that we both knew Levi until earlier this summer. We're happy to have Levi on. Levi, welcome to the podcast, buddy.
Thanks for having me, guys.
So Levi is and you gotta correct me if I'm getting titles wrong here, but are you a head professional, assistant professional at Sun Willows?
So currently, the head professional there is Joe McIndorfer. He's doing a great job. I'm filling more of the director role / tournament coordinator, stuff like that. So a lot of the admin stuff when it comes to tournaments, scheduling for the next year out, a lot of just the boring paperwork I take care of. And then during the busy season from pretty much March until October, I'm out teaching clinics, whether that's PGA HOPE clinics, ladies clinics, kids clinics, city clinics. So I do a lot of teaching out there predominantly. So it's kind of a weird in between at the moment, but I'd feel more of a director of instruction role out there currently.
Love that.
Okay.
Yeah. So how you and I got linked up was we have another mutual friend. We met through a veterans association here. We started golfing together, just kind of playing, Tuesday or Thursday rounds in the middle of the week, late morning, just the boys out there. There's a couple ladies, but it's mostly the boys out there in the middle of the week, all veterans. It's been a good time. I have to say, before we break down your career leading down the path, I talked about it a couple weeks ago, and now that we have you on, I can bring it up again with you here live. My favorite round I played last year went up to Palouse Ridge, and I beat you heads up, man. I beat a PGA Professional.
You crushed it. It was great golf. I was like, dang, man, Matt's been putting in some work. He absolutely smoked me. It was a great round.
It was a fun round. In all seriousness, no, that was a really good round. I think that was probably one of the rounds where you and I actually started to link up and chat and get to know each other. Was that round? It was a good week. But yeah, let's get into it, man. I don't really know kind of your upbringing. Are you a PNW guy? Where'd you grow up? Were you a golfer as a kid? What did that look like?
Yeah, so I grew up in Tri-Cities. I was raised in Pasco, and I golfed. I started golfing. My grandpa got me into golf at a pretty young age. I think around like 7 or 8. I had a club in my hand. And we weren't bougie golfers, man. My first golf lesson he got me was with a golf pro named Scott, who's over in Seattle now. But I showed up in like cut off sweat shorts and a t-shirt. I mean, I didn't know anything about the golf etiquette or anything like that. Neither my grandpa was a butcher. He didn't really care, so he was kind of just there for fun. And I remember that first lesson, and I loved it. It was fun. I played well. I mean, for an 8-year-old, we were just out there bombing golf balls and having a great time. So he kind of introduced me to the game. He was a big influence in my life for sure. He's still around. I took him down to an indoor golf place down here in town 2 nights ago. A couple of our family members and him, he can't really get around too much anymore. He just had his 80th birthday this last month, so he's having trouble kind of getting out to the golf course. So we were able to bring him and show him actually what a golf simulator looks like. And luckily the ones that we had were their top of the line. They were really great. So he was pretty blown away. And I mean, if you've ever been to a golf sim, a lot of those places juice the sims up pretty good because they want to make people happy. And you're just bombing these giant drives, and he was really tickled about that. He's like, that's awesome, and so that was fun. But yeah, he introduced me to golf. I grew up here. I've lived here my whole life, and then when I left the Marine Corps, when I got out, I'm like, I'm never coming back, which a lot of people say. And 4 years later, here I am. I'm back, man. It's been a great place to raise a family. I mean, we met you guys. It's been really cool, kind of getting linked in with the community here. I did play 4 years of high school golf for Chihuahua High School. That was a lot of fun. I think they built that high school about like a year before I think I was in like 8th or ninth grade when they built Chiawana. So it was brand new. They didn't have a golf team. Their golf coach was the girls basketball coach. I mean, they were just like, hey, anybody want to coach golf? So we were kind of a ragtag team of dudes put together. We had fun though. I mean, we weren't the best, but we had the best time, you know. So
Where
that
did you get to play anywhere fun in those high school tournaments? I mean,
yeah, we played. I mean, we would get smoked by the, you know, Richland was always really good. They got to practice at some pretty nice facilities, and we'd practice at these like par three, you know, putt courses. Because we were a new school, we didn't have a contract with the local golf course yet. So during tournaments, we got crushed. I mean, it was I was the best player for the first 2 or 3 years, and I was barely breaking 90, man. It was rough. We were just getting tore up. We were getting tore up at these nice golf courses. But we went to there's a golf course up in Wenatchee. I think it's called Two Rivers or Three Rivers. That was a beautiful course. I still haven't gone up there to play it, but I plan to hopefully the next year or two to go up there and play. That was one golf course that stood out the most. It was gorgeous. I mean, I got my butt kicked. I mean, I remember coming back, I'm like, man, that was embarrassing, but I just could not get over how beautiful it was. It was like 75. There was no wind. It was just prime conditions. The greens were very receptive. And I think that was my sophomore year. We went up there to play. I don't know if it was like a districts tournament or something like that. It was a long time ago, but I just remember it was absolutely gorgeous, gorgeous golf course. So other than that, I don't remember a whole lot of out of town tournaments worth mentioning. A lot of them were just these local courses that were nice. But I remember that one in Wenatchee was for sure. It stood out, man. It was beautiful.
You know, one of my biggest regrets was not playing high school or college golf. In high school, we thought it was just kind of like a dumb sport, I guess. You know, we're hockey players, so we're like, we're not going to play golf. But then when I went to CBC for like a year, one of the guys at the gym saw I had a golf shirt on or something, or a golf hat, and said, hey, why don't you play on the golf team? I'm like, I'm not nearly good enough to play on a golf team. He's like, do you shoot in the 80s? I'm like, yeah. He's like, oh yeah, you'd definitely be good on the golf team.
You'd be on varsity, shoot 80s.
Yeah. And then they ended up playing tournaments like in Bandon Dunes and stuff. I don't think they were any good, even in like intercollegiate stuff. But yeah, one of my biggest regrets is not taking that, getting some free trips to go play competitive golf.
Yeah, isn't that every 30 something?
What's that?
Your old regret is not having played high school golf. Isn't that like number one? Because it's mine. I was a lacrosse and wrestling guy. Why did I do that? I should have been on the golf course.
It definitely gives you an advantage. I think it gets you a head start once you hit your adulthood years and you have friends that are actually, hey, you golf, that's cool, and they want to have you come out. I mean, I think my senior year, the lowest. I mean, I was not a great golfer. I could hit the ball a long way. That was pretty much all I had going for me. I couldn't putt. I couldn't chip. I couldn't really do anything except hit the ball really super hard and just watch it fly. But that was about all I had going for me. So I think my best round was maybe, I don't know, it was like maybe 79 or 78. And that was at an easy golf course. So I do think that it gave me a good foundation, because a lot of the instruction we had, again, the coach was new to golf himself, and he did his best. I'm super thankful that he showed up, because if it wasn't for him, we wouldn't have had a golf team. So that was really, really cool that he did that I think he was there all 4 years I was there. But it was just, we had a good time. But I do think that playing in high school gave me enough of an edge to where I came back and was kind of bouncing around different careers, which I'm sure we'll get into. But I remember kind of thinking about getting into golf as a career, and I'm like, man, I'm too old for this. This is a young man's game. Like a lot of these guys that are finishing up their apprenticeships, or they're like 23, 24, I'm almost 30. So it was kind of this weird feeling. But being a high school golfer really helped kind of with my confidence of like, oh, I actually can play this game, and I know a lot of these courses pretty well. I know a lot of the people already, so it kind of gave me an advantage in that aspect of it.
Even from like a golfing standpoint, I'm sure it helps a lot. Like when I was at Gonzaga, I had to squeeze out like 2 more credits, and I had already finished all my main classes, and so I went and took the only golf class that worked with my schedule was a beginner golf class. And at the time I was think I was like a single digit handicap at the time, but I just signed up. And just having like some level of instruction or even like intentional drills helped my game so much because at that point I'd just never done anything other than just go play, hit a bucket of balls and then go play. Just these
Right.
little drills that I never would have thought of doing. Kind of went a long way. And in fact, I've been thinking lately I might have to go take a beginner golf class again to kind of hit the reset button.
Honestly, it's not a bad idea. I recommend guys even in their 60s who have been golfing longer than I've been alive. I always tell them it's not a bad idea to get a group clinic, a beginner lesson to really establish the foundation, because you never know what you don't know. And there's a lot of guys, especially when it comes to chipping in their short game, they do a lot of these things that are wrong. But it's like you could spend 20 minutes with any local pro and he'll tell you right away, like, hey, that's a bad habit. So there's just because it's a beginner, I think even if you're a single digit handicap, I mean, there's things I'm still learning that people are like, you didn't know that, so it's never a bad idea.
Yeah. Well, why don't you tell us a little bit? So after college, you were in the Marines. Where was golf on your spectrum at that point? What did you do when you got out of the Marines? And then how did it lead to you being a teaching professional at Sun Willows?
Yeah, so I did I tried college. I did 1 year of community college, and then I got a call from my recruiter. I was in what's called the delayed entry program for over a year. Basically, you go in, you say, hey, I want to sign up, depending on what contracts they have available. And like a lot of my buddies who went and signed up, we all wanted infantry. So there's a long waiting list for that. So I kind of got stuck on the bottom of that list. So I was waiting around for a while. So I'm like, might as well try out college. And it didn't work out very well. I don't think I was in a good place to discipline wise to actually take that next step into college. And I didn't really care because I knew from a young age, even from when I was a kid, I mean, I got pictures of running around in camo and painting my face with dirt, like shooting BB guns. I love that kind of stuff from a pretty young age. So I always knew I was kind of military bound. So after a year of college, I ended up dropping out and just working and waiting to leave. And then they finally called me, like, you're going. I think they gave me like 30 days or something like that. So I shipped out March of 2016 to boot camp in San Diego. Spent 3 months there, and then my first unit, I went to 2nd Battalion, 3rd Marines in Hawaii, in Kaneohe Bay. So that was kind of that was an interesting experience. I didn't know people got stationed in Hawaii, so that was kind of cool. After I did a deployment with them, I got married. I married my high school sweetheart. Samantha and I we've been a couple for a long time. She's my best friend. She's an amazing person. So I was very thankful that I was able to kind of bring her on that journey with me. So she came to Hawaii, spent a couple years there with me. As far as golf, while I was in, there's a course there's a couple courses on Oahu where I was, but they're expensive, man, and we didn't have time. We were always gone working, so I'd play maybe twice a year. So I wasn't playing a whole lot. But when I was, it was really cool. Like, the people you meet on the golf course of, like, hey, they're in this unit, or, so and so. It's a small world down there, especially on an island. Everybody knows everybody. So it was pretty cool getting to kind of network that way. And then from there, I went to I did another deployment with them, went through a couple schools, and then I went over to Camp Pendleton, California, to do a tour as a combat instructor, which is you go over there. It's like a drill instructor for the infantry, essentially. So a lot of hiking, a lot of shooting, a lot of academic work. So that was a lot of fun. I really enjoyed that. That was a good experience. It was a big learning curve. I think that's where I really began to mature in more of a leadership role. So that was pretty cool. I like that. Again, golf maybe twice, 3 times a year on special occasions, but we were working so much we just didn't have time. So at that point I had two my oldest daughter and my son were born, and I just was never home. So I went ahead, and my wife and I were talking. I'm like, I think I need to get out. So I made that decision to get out. And then before I did, there's a program for anybody listening called Veterans in Piping. It's sponsored by the United Association. Down in San Diego, they have a local 230. They have a bunch of steam fitters, pipe fitters. They put on this school on Camp Pendleton, and so I was able to get in one of those schools. It's called a cohort is what they call it. and it's 5 months, and you basically learn how to weld. And it was probably one of the coolest things I've ever gotten to do. It was, my instructors were awesome. The guys I went through were awesome. It was just such a fun experience and such a good change from, what I'd been doing. So after I finished that, I got it. They lined me up with a job when I came back to Tri-Cities. Because at that point, I'm like, we got kids living in California. I'm like, this place is really expensive. I think, especially with kids, childcare is just it was a little much. So we decided to come back home where both of our families were, which worked out. It was the right.
Is that something you had to sign up for, or did they just show up to camp and everybody just decides to raise a hand and go join it?
No, nobody knows about it. It's called SkillBridge. SkillBridge is SkillBridge encompasses a bunch of different schools, so you can go learn to be like a lineman, a windmill technician, a BMW mechanic. You can go learn a bunch of different skills through SkillBridge, but a lot of people don't talk about it until they're already in what's called TRS, or Transition Readiness Seminar. So you have about 5 days from where you're like getting out, where they sit you down in a classroom like, oh, here's all these great opportunities, and you're supposed to have someone was supposed to have told you about them. But especially in the Marine Corps, like we don't have time for that kind of stuff, especially the infantry. We're always out in the field training and working. So I had never heard about it.
As a guy that worked in an office, I can tell you, when I went through that transitional program, we also didn't know shit about
nobody knows.
So
nobody knows. And it sucks because it's such a great program. And I think a lot of vets, myself included, I'm like, I have no idea what I'm going to do when I get out. I just know that I need to get out for my family, because my marriage was in a rough spot. I never saw my kids. And as a dad, it was really important to me, putting my kids and my family first. So I just knew, I'm like, I love this job, but it's the price is too much. I'm not willing to pay that. And I saw a lot of really good men, good mentors of mine, that they stayed in because they felt that was their calling, which is, hats off, very commendable. I mean, doing 20 years is awesome. But they didn't know their kids. They didn't have a family life. They were always gone working. And I didn't want that, And so I decided when I was getting out, pipe fitting, I was like, I like to weld. That's cool. I've never done it, but it looks cool and it pays good. So let's do that. So
it does.
Yeah. So I went through that, got a couple welding certifications, and so that was really cool. I enjoyed that. And then when I got out, I came down here to a local union down here and worked for them for a little while. So I like I said, golf while I was in the service, I probably played 10 rounds in the 6 years I was in. I didn't play a lot. Golf never was I never from I mean a lot of me thought I would spend 20 years in the military. And then when I got in, I'm like, this is different, this is cool, but this is different, and then once I had kids, I'm like, wow, this is rough. I want to make time for my kids, but I love this job. It was fun getting to blow stuff up and shoot rockets and stuff. I mean, it was fun, man. I had a blast doing it. But yeah, once I got out, I kind of transitioning into how I got into golf. When I got out, I had some.
Before you jump in, Levi, I want to just we know the end of the story. I just, for context, if you were like, what kind of rounds are you shooting by the time you get out of the military? You said you play a couple times a year. We know that you ultimately become a golf professional, but like, where's your game at? Quantifiably, are you shooting in the 90s? Are they 100s, or do you still have enough juice to be shooting low 80s at that point?
My first round back at my home course at Sun Willows, I think I shot an 85, and I had no idea what to expect. I found an old set of TaylorMades that my grandpa, I think he found it at a thrift shop or something like that. And I was like, let's go play golf. And my childhood buddy, who's, he's been my golf partner from when I started golfing. He's like, let's go out and play around. So I was like, all right, let's try it out. I hadn't played in probably over a year at that point. So I was a little, they say it's like riding the bike, but golf is one of those things. There's so many mechanical things that could potentially go wrong, that you might be hitting the driver great, but your putter and anything else could be going wrong. So I'm like, I didn't have high expectations, which is why I think I shot well, because I was relaxed. I was just there to have fun. And I mean, that was probably the best 85 I've ever shot. I mean, it was unexpected, and it was a lot of fun, man. I had a great time. But yeah, when I came out, kind of making that transition out, I was like mid 80s. maybe high 70s if it was an easier course. But for the most part, I think my handicap when I actually got a handicap or a gen when I got out was like a 12 or something like that. So
Okay.
you move back to Washington. You're learning to weld. When do you start ramping up how often you're on the course? What is that? When does that start happening?
yeah, so I ran into a buddy of mine who's actually working at a golf course. I played with him in high school. He actually holds the course record at the course I work at now. He's one of the best players I've ever met. And he had mentioned, he's like, "Oh, dude, you're gonna come back and
Are we talking about Clayton?
yeah, Clayton Whitby, man. He's a stud. He's a stud
beast.
muffin. Yeah,
He stands
So
on the wrong side of the ball, but he's a good golfer.
yeah, he actually he was the one that kind of brought it up, and he's like, "Are you gonna come back and work here?" Because I used to work pushing carts for them back in the day, back in like 2010 or something like that. I mean, it was a long time ago, before he was in high school. And but he got a job there. He was one of the teaching pros out there at the time, and he was the one who brought it up to me. He's like, "Are you gonna come back and work?" And I'm like, "No, dude, I'm welding now. I'm making money." And I'm like thinking, I'm like, man, but my back always hurts. I'm not really having fun. Like golf's it's a fun job, man. Like there are days where you're like, I don't want to be out teaching on the range, especially with red hair, at noon in August, for 8 hours. That sounds terrible, but like, it's worth it, man. It's fun. I have a great time at work for the most part. I love what I do, especially considering the people I'm able to reach. But Clayton was the one who kind of opened that door and planted that idea in my head. Because after I went home, because I was just there to golf, and my hair was down to my shoulders. I had a giant beard, like most guys when they get out. They're like, "I'm not shaving, I'm gonna grow a giant beard." And I was one of those guys, and he's like, "Dude, it's so good to see you." And it was cool to see him again. But yeah, he actually was the one who kind of put that idea in my brain. And after a couple days of thinking about it and talking to my wife, I'm like, maybe I will, man. I'm looking into this PGM program, and it's just an apprenticeship, kind of like what I'm doing now. And
what year was this when this conversation started to happen with the wife? With
2020, it was like beginning of 2023, I want to say. Yeah, no, 2022. It was late summer of 2022, because I only welded for like 9 months, and I didn't even weld. Actually, when I got here, they said there's no work for welders. You're going to be a plumber. So the only welding I ever did was in that school. So when I came here, I was a commercial plumber, and then I kind of bounced around. But yeah, I think it was 2022. So spring of 2023 is when I talked to him, and then June of 23 is when I jumped into the program. So about almost 3 years ago.
Did Matt cross paths with long-haired, long-beard Levi, and I didn't know it? Did that happen?
You might have, dude. You might have. I don't know.
I mean, because Sun Willows has been, since I've moved to the Tri-Cities, has been my kind of default home course, right? I mean, I know Joe and Clayton and all these guys, and that's where I've probably played the most rounds of golf. Is there at Sun Willows. So it's interesting to kind of go back in my mind to go, man, did I run into a long-haired, long-beard redhead when
yeah
years ago?
I was there, man. Yeah, grinding it out. But I wasn't able to teach for the first year I was there. I was just a pro shop attendee. I didn't know anything about the program. I just knew I had to be at a golf course working to get into it. And so once I was able to get into it, then I was able to actually start teaching, and that's really where I started to learn. I'm like, okay, now I need to actually study up on this stuff. Like, I know how to golf at that point. I think when I started working there, I was shooting like I think I was shooting like 1 or 2 under. My game had really gotten better, because again, once I knew that was kind of that was what I was going to be doing. I was always there, man. I was always hitting balls. I was playing probably 3 or 4 times a week for a couple months. And that's kind of how my brain works. If I know I'm going to do something, I'm going all in. I'll be on the range for 3 hours before a tournament, doing an hour of chipping, hour of putting. Like, I'm always trying to get extra time to practice. And that was when I first got into it. Now it's a little bit harder. I have 4 kids. I'm in school full time using my GI Bill, so it's a lot. So I definitely am not practicing as much as I should be. But the nice thing about living here, we have a lot of places that have the golf simulators and stuff like that, which makes it a lot more feasible to actually practice through the winter instead of taking, November through February off like I was doing, and then coming back in March and just having my confidence just crushed. Like, wow, I'm I lost it. I fell off the wagon. So
So can you walk us through like the nuts and bolts
Yeah,
of when you decide to leave one career into another? Because like what me and Matt are doing is we're hedging we want to have a career in golf too. We're doing this whole podcast and the Sundowner stuff and tournaments and selling shirts. But I'm not quitting my day job. Don't get me wrong.
yeah.
So I got to pay the bills. So I mean, at a certain point, you had to leave one and go to the other. Like, what did that process look like? What were you doing to get into the PGA program? How are you paying the bills, Levi?
It's hard, man. I'm not gonna lie, it's hard. So for the first 2 years I was in the program, actually up till about this last year, I was dual hatting. So I had my GI Bill for school, full time, and then I was working at the golf course almost full time, and then I had a contracting business, just my own general contracting business. I was doing anything from landscaping to building, handyman work, anything I could do to make it work. Because again, in golf, like a lot of people, again, it's a young man's game. You see people working at the pro shop. Usually, if they're there just hanging out, they're not making a whole lot. A lot of golf professionals make our living off of lessons and tournaments. So it's definitely not. It wasn't an easy decision leaving my my cushy union job with all the benefits to now going to a golf course where I don't know anything about how it works. But I just knew there's a couple things. The first thing for me personally, when I was in that kind of blue collar tradesman line of work, I had a lot of back issues when I got out, and it was really wearing on me because when I would get home, I just wasn't fun to be around, man. I was just in pain. We're lugging pipe around all day. We're doing we're manual labor, man. That's all I've ever done, and I love it. But it just got to the point where I'm like, I don't want to do this for the next 20 years, man. Like golf to me is one of the ways that I can salvage what's left of my body. And still, when I come home at the end of the day, I'm not crawling in the door, feeling like I'm like, how am I going to get up the next day? So that was one of the leading factors of like, I could do this because it's low physical demand. And I enjoy it. So that was kind of the motivating factors that kind of pushed me from one job to the next. As far as like the nuts and bolts and how I got there, it was bumpy, man. Like I said, I was contracting. That's kind of how I made the most of how I made a living for a while. Just finding jobs and stuff like that around
Is that
town.
through like
So,
like Craigslist or like freelance stuff?
yeah, there's like one called, I think it's called
Craigslist.
Craigslist.
Is
Yeah,
that a
they'll do
thing?
job listing. Yeah, Craigslist, man. You can make some money on Craigslist. People, I need a
Wait,
ceiling
hold on.
fan for them.
Craigslist is still a website?
Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
Craigslist
Oh,
is
yeah.
awesome, man.
Hold on. I'm going there right now. Craigslist. What?
You'll see Levi up there offering his services
Yeah,
down some shelves.
I'll change
I'm about to hire him to build me a wall at my apartment complex for no reason.
It was fun though, man. I loved it. I was able to kind of keep my own schedule. It allowed me the freedom to do that, to where I could work for 10 days straight and then take 4 days off and go play golf for an upcoming pro-am or something like that. So that's kind of how I did it financially. It was not easy. It sucked, but I think in regards to, if you guys are looking into a career in golf, you're on the right track. I mean, you guys are accomplished players. You have a podcast. It's a great podcast. I do think that there are some things, if you are looking into it, you should be aware of. So if you're trying to go the traditional route, to become a PGA professional, you have to become an associate first. So first you have to do the prereqs, which is just some online work. You got to do a drug test, background check, stuff like that. And Matt probably knows, if you've ever been in the military and you have to do a background check, it's going to take forever. So it took me, I think, 3 months to get hired because my background check took so long. So that's that one thing for you, heads up, it might take a minute for some reason.
I have to know, was there a project you were on where in the middle of the day you're eating your ham and cheese sandwich and you're just on this stupid project? You're like, this is the last one. I'm done. I'm dropping this shit and I'm going full on golf professional. Did that happen?
There was one day there was a couple of those. I don't think it was one, but it was the compilation of this week where I can't remember where I was at. I was working somewhere, and one of the one of the safety guys was walking around and he just was lighting me up about my glasses not being all the way up and my gloves being, I took my glove off to like unscrew something. And it was just, he was constantly just on me about something. It just felt like all week. And I'm like, dude, that's it. I'm done. I don't want to do this, you know?
Levi, I think it's important that you and I set aside about 15 minutes to talk crap about safety guys. I think it's
All
important.
right, easy. You know, he's just doing his job. He's just trying to protect your digits.
They got a quote to me. I wasn't following the rules. So I
all right, Levi. Okay, I get it.
Shame on you, Levi. Shame on you.
Here. We paid you before we got on here. He knew this would come up.
So anyway, back to how you get into the program. There is a couple things you have to do. So in order to be an associate, which is what I'm currently, I'm not a what's called a Class A PGA member. I'm still an associate. I'm still one of the new guys, right? So I'm still going through the apprenticeship. There's 3 levels. There's academic work online you have to do. It's basically just, it's college. You got to go through. You got to learn the rules. You got to test on the rules. You got to test on the golf swing. You got to test on all kinds of terminology that you have to then use, record yourself teaching, send it in for review and stuff like that. You have to attend seminars. It's a lot. It's a lot of academic work, but it's all awesome. It's all really good. I've learned a ton just from doing it. I'm about halfway done with it. I'm 3 years into it. So yeah, I mean, you have 8 years to finish the program. I've seen people finish it as early as 2 years. The only reason I haven't finished it already is just because, like I said, I'm already in school finishing my bachelor's degree, and I have a family, so I'm always time is not a currency that I have very much of. So kind of inch by inch, we're finishing it up. I should be done by next winter is my goal. And then I'll be a full-on it's called a class A. You have job codes, so that's kind of the end point. To get there, to get into the PGA or the PGM program as an associate, you have to, again, pass your background check, drug test, the prereqs. The big one that holds people up is called the player's ability test.
What kind of drugs are you allowed to test positive for? Can we talk about that?
I think they're just scanning for like federally illegal drugs. I don't think I don't know. I'm not really sure.
Washington, I don't know if how many potential PGA professionals are outed for marijuana since it's legal here.
No. Yeah, it's legal. It's legal in the state, so it's not something that you're gonna get popped for.
You get that safety guy?
For all you listeners, we can smoke weed. Are holding your breath. You guys can go.
Yeah.
Your path is still open.
Right.
So tell us about this player's ability test. I've heard a little bit about it.
So certain courses will offer these tests. Usually they run about 100, like $125 to play. You play 36 holes in one day. You get about, I think I had like a 30-minute lunch in between rounds. Which is actually crazy. My son, the day before my pat, I'm all freaking out. I'm all preparing for it. Mine was at Canyon Lakes over in Kennewick, so I was like, man, this is a beast of a course. It's like, I think it was May 1st, so spring golf. It is like windy. It's just terrible weather the whole time. So I'm gearing up for it. I'm ready for it. And then that day before, I was playing with the group that Matt and I normally play with, and one of the guys playing was like, dude, what's going on with your putting? Because I was like 4 and 5 putting, and I was like, maybe I just have the yips, man. Maybe I'm just nervous. I'm thinking about, the rounds tomorrow. And he looks at my putter, and I think I had a Spider back then, Spider or Ping. I've had a bunch of putters, but it's one of those mallet putters. And he looks at the face of it, and he's like, oh, dude. And he shows me there's this giant dent across it. And my son was out playing with it. I think he was like 2 at the time, but he was old enough to grab my clubs, and he was out there putting in my backyard. And I had just laid a whole slab of concrete, and he must have just taken it and whacked it on the corner, because it was a giant gash across the face. I mean, it was, if this is the face, the gash is kind of going like this. So you can't just hit it on the toe or the heel and get away with it. It's done. And that was, we were playing it like in the afternoon. It was like 4 or 5 in the afternoon. I'm like, dude,
this is the day before your test?
This is the day before my test. And
Jeez.
and I'm freaking out because I don't have any other putters that I want to play with. And that was kind of around the time that I had picked up on the whole lab bandwagon kind of starting up, and I'm not gonna spend $500 on a putter, but that kind of gave me a reason like, oh, last minute, let's go buy one. So I went and got one of I think I got the task one, the blade, because they didn't have they didn't the DF3s and the Mez and stuff like that. They weren't in the storage yet. So I went down to a golf shop, picked up a blade and played with that the next day. And actually on number 9, if anybody's played Canyon Lakes, I know you guys have, but number 9, I had a really nice drive. I had a 6-iron in. I was on the left side. It was probably like a 40-foot putt, and I was like, I'm not gonna make this, man. And I hit it, and I drained the stupidest eagle putt I've ever made. It was ridiculous. And that is the only reason that I passed my first round. You have to shoot 80 or better, so you're allowed 6 strokes as a passing score. So if you can shoot 80 or better for both rounds, you'll pass. So that was my first round. I passed with an 80 because of that eagle. It was wild.
Wow.
It was yeah, it was crazy. So everybody's, oh, that's crazy. A bunch of people up on all these old guys getting drunk on the balcony. They all saw it. They're freaking out. It was really cool.
Do you think they knew what you're playing for too?
Oh yeah. Yeah. There was only, I think there was like 20 of us. There wasn't that many, but they shut the course down that morning for us
Oh, wow.
to play. Matt blocked off a bunch of tee times for us, and he's a great guy, really great guy.
Yeah, he is.
And I think there was only 3 of us that got a passing score. Only one passed both times. The other 2 of us, me and I can't remember her name, but me and another gal, we both shot 80, and then our second round, she shot 81 her second round. I shot 87. I took a lunch, man, and hole number 3 ate me up. I took a 9 on hole number 3.
No.
I got the yips, man. I was on the green in 2, and I just couldn't get it together. So I took a 9 on the hole, and yeah, it was rough. I actually got to play with my brother-in-law Quinnell. He's the assistant pro over at Black Rock and Sunnyside.
Quinnell's your brother-in-law?
Yeah, so kind in a weird way. So his see if I can get this right. His fiance's brother married my sister. So it's like
Okay.
we just say brother-in-law because I don't know what he is. Funny
That's
enough,
funny. I've known Quinnell for a long time. I went
Yeah,
to one of his live shows in Germany when I happened to be over there. We play men's league hockey together.
nice. That's yeah. It's funny
That's
because I
funny.
used to work at a
Live
music
shows. What is a live
venue.
show? What
Huh?
do you mean live show? What do you mean a live show?
He had a band
he-
called Quinnell, and
he has like I don't know if he still does it or not, but he has like a circuit that he does, a little tour, a European tour where he'll go play music in all across Europe for a summer. And I happened to be there visiting OG Matt, and we found out he was playing a show in Germany. So we took a train over there and surprised him. We sat front row and we kind of shocked him.
That's awesome.
Cool.
Yeah, he's a great guy. I love that guy. Yeah, we took our PAP together. So he's in the program. He got in the same time I did. And what's funny is when I was I think I was overseas somewhere, and my younger sister, who kind of married into his fiance's family, she's like, oh, my fiance's sister's boyfriend is really cool. And I'm like, okay, cool, and I'm like, why are you telling me this? Just so random. And she's like, oh, he golfs. I'm like, okay, lots of people golf, and come to find out, Quinnell used to play at a music venue in the Uptown in Tri-Cities. I used to work at called Mux, and it was only around for like a year maybe. But we had tons of local bands. We had like Night Argent, Blinded Innocence. We had a bunch of these local bands come play, and Quinnell was one of them. And I didn't even remember him from that time. I just kind of forgot about it. And so when I came back and started, I got to meet him at our wedding, and it was just, I was like, you look familiar, dude. It took us, I think, a year of golfing together before we put 2 and 2 together. I'm like, dude, I've known you for like 10 years because he talked about his
That
band.
is funny.
So again, small town, small small
Quinnell,
world.
he's a good guy. His brother Keisto works at Pacific Clinic as one of their physical therapists.
Oh, really? That's cool. I didn't know
Yep.
that.
Yeah, both those guys are great hockey players and great guys.
It's funny because you can see he has become such an accomplished golfer and instructor. But if you I watch his swing now over some of the videos to post on social media, and it's so much better. But I felt bad for him because I played like t-ball, but I didn't play baseball. I didn't play hockey, so I don't have to deal with sliding hips or my weight transfer being all screwed up like a lot of these guys do. They come into golf, and all they know they have to unlearn, which is a lot harder than just learning one thing, obviously. So when I would watch him play, a lot of his bad shots would come from his hips sliding like you do in hockey. So it's really interesting watching guys where it's at this point where now it's if I have a client come and they want to take a lesson, I'm like, did you play hockey? And 9 times out of 10 you can tell because I played with Quinnell for so long, it was so obvious finding that hips shifting forward. But he's come a long way, man. That guy's a phenomenal player. So
when I first started playing golf, or I guess taking golf seriously, I was going to college at Gonzaga, and I'd go play at the fairways in Cheney. I don't know if that golf course is still there or not, but I just remember one specific time I'm playing with these guys, and I was playing solo, and I caught up to them, and they just said, "Hey, why don't you join?" And after the first shot, this old guy, he had to be like in his 70s. He goes, "Well, what is it? Baseball or hockey?" I was like, "What do you mean?" He's like, "Well, I can tell you played one or the other." And I was like, "Wow, well, it's hockey. It's that obvious?" And that was the moment I felt like I had to just unlearn or kind of eliminate those habits of just like the natural swinging motion from hockey.
Mhm.
And it's you can imagine what my golf shot looked like at that time. A lot of club head speed, ball went a long ways, but it was also going very far right pretty much every time.
Yeah, yeah. And it's funny because a lot of that's most, I would say probably 80% of the people that I teach now, they come to me if they're not a beginner golfer wanting to learn how to play golf. Most of the time, I'd say at least 80% of them are dealing with the slice. So it's just such a common issue that people have, and everybody deals with it. You can't just, there's no magic word that's going to make a slice go away. I was playing last week and I sliced one almost 2 fairways over. So like it doesn't go away, but it is a very, I think, the most common issue other than topping the ball for newer golfers.
So once you got your first job, I guess, you're dipping your toes into having a golf career. So what was it like? Like, do you remember that last odd job that you did that you finally decided, I'm going to transition out of this and I'm going to just dive into this new career? Because it kind of sounds like you were grinding it out for a couple of years while you're transitioning. I'm assuming you're spending a lot of time at the course. I'll do air quotes working, right, to go prepare
Mhm.
for this while you're also trying to pay the bills. Do you remember that moment? Do you remember that last job?
Yeah, I do. I landed a really awesome job with this guy who owns his own engine. He bought an engineering company and he had me building these panels for him, these electric circuits and panels and stuff like that. And I was doing a lot of soldering, so again, bent over for a lot of hours. Just it was such a fun job, and I'd never thought I'd be doing soldering in a basement. Like it was like something you see in Iron Man. Like it was really cool. Like I got Joe Rogan playing, and for hours I'm just in this little cave soldering these little wires, and I enjoyed it. But I'm like I remember I was sitting there kind of just dozing off, and I kept screwing up, connecting wrong circuits to wrong places, and I'm like, this is enough. Like I just felt kind of my brain was like, we can't do this anymore. I was working so much and then trying to still make time for my family and stuff like that. It was brutal. But it wasn't like I hate this job, like I don't think I've ever really felt that way, like truly felt that way about a job. I've worked a lot of really crappy jobs. Like in construction. I mean, I've done anything from welding to being driving tractors, doing gravel delivery. I mean, I've done some kind of more dirty jobs, and as much as challenging as they were and uncomfortable as they were, I didn't really ever have like I hate this moment. It was more of like, I don't think this is going to go anywhere, so what's the point of doing it? I need to find another avenue. I need to change direction is what I need, or else I'm just going to stay
Yeah.
here. So I don't know if it was necessarily me being, fed up. I think I was just I hit a spot of burnout to where I was like, I'm home more than I was when I was, in the military, but I also was like, I was exhausted, and I'm stressed about, okay, now I have 3 hours of school to do after the kids go to bed, and now I'm trying to work on my marriage, and it was too much. So I do remember that was, I think, after I had started the golf course, it was about a year and a half after I started, probably 9, 10 months into my apprenticeship, to where I was like, I just need to teach more. I need to find a way to supplement this because yeah, I was hitting burnout. So I think that was the point of where here about around a year ago. I was like, I need to just make this my priority and make it work. And I did. And I took a pay cut, but I mean, you're gonna have to do that in golf. Golf's not, if you're in it for the money, you're gonna be disappointed. I mean, it's not this luxurious, you're gonna find a job immediately at some country club, making, six figures a year. You're gonna be grinding, especially as an associate, who's working his way up the social ladder of, and networking is a huge thing in golf. There's a lot of guys in our chapter that have been extremely helpful. They're very knowledgeable, and I would be completely lost without their mentorship. So I'm very thankful for them. But yeah, that I don't think it was necessarily I hate this job. It was more of I need to focus my attention more on this so I can become better at my craft, because I know this is something that I'm supposed to be doing right now, and whether or not I do that for the next 30 years, I don't know. But for the foreseeable future, I love it, and I don't plan on going anywhere else.
So I have to say, one of the things that drew me to you is you're just a solid dude. And solid dudes do cool stuff. So we kind of mentioned earlier the PGA Hope hat that you have on. I want to talk about the PGA Hope program. So what does that look like? How are you involved? What does that look like? How do people get involved if they want to be involved?
Yeah, PGA Hope's awesome. I didn't know about a lot of these programs. There's programs like PGA Hope, there's Operation 36, there's Team Semper Fi, there's the Veterans Golf Association. There's dozens of these awesome nonprofit organizations that put on free clinics. Specifically, PGA Hope is funded by predominantly fundraising that we do, and also the PGA. So they allocate funds every year to send to different courses of, after we make our budget of like, hey, I want to teach 3 clinics next year, and we're allowed, I think we're allowed 1 to 5, potentially 1 to 6 is the instructor to student ratio next year. So if you have other people who are certified coaches, they can jump in. It's just a matter of like finding them and having them commit to 6 weeks. Because what the program is it's a free clinic or session for veterans to come, play golf for an hour and a half, or learn golf for an hour and a half once a week for 6 weeks. That's the program. That's the duration. It can be 7 weeks. Generally, I only do 6, because after the 6th week, it's kind of redundant. You've taught them everything they need to know. Now the only thing they need is repetition and time. So I structure my programs for PGA Hope. It's 6 weeks, 5 vets. The reason I don't do 6 is because I feel like I've done 2 clinics so far, and I feel like when I've taught more than 5 people at a time in a group session, or even more than 4, it's really hard to give them the attention they need, because a lot of these guys coming in, they're not golfers. They're veterans looking for a place to belong. And I think golf specifically allows a way for people like us to kind of, we're in the middle of a transition, or we've been out for a decade. We have guys that are in the Korean War that are asking about coming. We have guys from the Gulf War, all kinds of different generational veterans are always asking about what is this program, what do we do? And it's up and coming. It's only been a thing for, I think, maybe 10 years to my knowledge, but it's quickly growing, and it's awesome. But I was saying I don't like teaching more than 5, even if I can get another guy in there, because I feel like it's a disservice to the guys and the gals coming in. Because again, if you're trying to teach someone how to hold a golf club and you have 90 minutes to do that with 5 people, it's really, you want to give them the best quality information you can, or instruction that you can. So that's kind of why I try to keep my classes smaller. But if people are interested, you can either look me up on PGA Coach. I have all the information for PGA Hope listed in links under my bio. Another way you can do it is PGA Reach is the it's kind of a weird relationship. They run the PGA Hope program. They fund it, to my knowledge. So they're kind of connected. So if people just search PGA Hope Veterans Clinic, you can go on, you can find upcoming clinics. Usually they don't put out a schedule for the next year until like that January, because they usually do their budget allocations like late December, early January time. So you won't know when the dates are going to be until that year. But if people are if you're interested in going, it's awesome. I highly recommend it. And even if you're not looking to be a proficient golfer, it gives you a sense of belonging, which I think is really important and really missed in the veterans community, and especially as we transition back into the civilian world, trying to find, the job or the friend group or the hobby that really is going to fix us. I don't think vets need fixing. I think we need a place to go that we feel like we belong, that we can connect with people. So we need connection. And I think golf in a way offers that, because you show up every week for 6 weeks with the same four other people. You're learning from the same, from level one all the way up to level 10. And you're learning these things together. And after that, the two classes that I've taught, they're all still friends and they love golfing together. And it's so cool when I see those guys out on the golf course, because it's like, some of them, when they came, I'm like, man, like this guy's in a rough spot, or this gal's, not doing good. Like I can tell that there's something going on. And every single week they came back, they seemed happier. They seemed more excited to be there. And it wasn't because I'm a vet and I'm teaching. It's because I was able to give them a place that they were surrounded by like-minded people who were also excited to kind of be in that environment, to learn together and kind of have that camaraderie back a little bit, which is why I love golfing with the vets group that we have. We have a group in Sun Willows called Vets on the Green. We golf once a week with them, and they're awesome people. And just seeing that sense of like, you see them come to life a little bit, man. You see them kind of become themselves again, and they kind of break out of that shell of like, anxiety and just like, all this baggage that they're carrying. It kind of all goes quiet, and the only thing that really matters is like the golf ball and your next shot and what you learned. And the cool thing is, a lot of these guys, I think a lot of people, like I've had a lot of questions like, oh, is there a lot of like, club throwing, cursing and stuff like that? It's like, no, man. Because the standard is just to have fun. The standard is not to make you a scratch golfer in 6 weeks. It can't be done. In 6 weeks, once a week, you're not going to do it. So when people come expecting these things from lessons, there's a different expectation of what they're hoping to get out of it, as compared to these other guys who come to these PGA HOPE clinics of like, I'd like to learn how to golf. And it's been really rewarding seeing people go through it. I never actually went through it. I went down to Idaho Falls and got certified last winter, last minute. I had to drive the 11 hours down there. It's a funny story. When I when I agreed to do it, I go, this is a great program. And I called one of the headquarters guys, and I was like, yeah, when's the next clinic? And they said, oh, it's down in Idaho Falls. I'm like, oh, I live in Washington. I'm thinking Post Falls, man. I'm thinking like 4.5 hours. So I'm like, yeah, sign me up. So he signed me up, and I'm sitting there, and I'm like, the day before I get off of work, I'm like looking at my phone, like it's about 5 hours. No, try like 12 hours, dude. Driving down there in the middle of winter, it was not a peachy drive. So I had to leave after work, drive through the night, go through the conference, and then leave that day. And I got back at like 3 a.m. that following morning, that next day. So it was a rough.
That's brutal. I'm making that same drive a week from today. We're going to Jackson Hole, Wyoming.
Which way are you going down?
For a hockey thing. I'm planning on going down through Boise and Idaho Falls.
Okay, yeah, that's what I went down.
Well, we'll see. That's about a 10 or 11 hour drive. If you go up through northern Idaho and Montana, it makes it about 12. So we'll be checking the weather as we go. Hey, Levi, if you don't mind, I'll just throw your email in the show notes. So if anybody does have wants more information about PGA HOPE, or if there's any active duty or veterans that are interested in getting involved in the program, I'll just put your email in there and they can reach out to you directly.
Absolutely, man.
Well, hey, before we let you go, Levi, I appreciate you coming on. You're welcome anytime as a guest. I know, I guess I'm going to assume you're a golf sicko like we are, and like to talk about major season and live golf and TGL and all that good stuff. But I just want to ask you, what golf ball are you playing these days?
Oh, I know. I know.
Matt knows. Go ahead, Matt. No,
it's a Strixon, baby.
They're the best, man. I love them.
There they are.
Yeah, baby.
They're
hey,
perfect,
roll it.
Man.
Roll it. Show the name on there.
Roll it. So this is the free ad of the day for Strixon. Hold on, I got to see it. Z-Star XVs.
Mm-hmm.
I got to tell you what, I'm a yellow ball guy, so I prefer the TP5 yellows. It's just got a nicer yellow than the Pro V ones. But you chucked me a box of these, which I appreciate, before the Fall Classic. And I tell you what, I like them. They're my gamers right now.
I did too.
They're my gamers right now.
They're great, man. I've been playing the ZXi 7 irons and clubs this year, and I love them. They're phenomenal, man. I did play Mizuno's for a long time. I love TaylorMade. I love Mizuno, but man, there's just something about these irons. They're so smooth. I've never been able to shot shape easier. They're awesome, and the balls just I feel like the TP5s are a little too. I'm kind of a snob, surprisingly. I don't like the sound they make when I putt them. It drives me nuts. I don't know why, but it's just the certain sound that the TP5 makes. I just can't. It's a great ball. When I putt it, I hate the noise that it makes, regardless of what putter I'm using. And so the Z Stars have been really good, but Pro V1s just don't last very long. I mean, I'll play 2 holes and that thing is just it's done.
Yeah,
Like,
one bunker shot and you're done.
yeah. So the Z
Levi,
Stars are great, man.
I appreciate you coming on, man. We'd be happy to have you anytime. And then good luck with your golf career. It's I think your story is just so cool that you decided to completely switch careers, and here you are. You get to show up to the golf course every day to go to work, and yeah, just a cool story, and I appreciate you sharing it with us.
Absolutely.
Yeah, guys, thanks for having me on. I appreciate it.
And we'll see you at the pickleball courts at some point.
We will see you on the courts. That's right, man. What paddle are you
All
guys?
right.
In the
We
spring,
need to get Matt into
Classic,
pickleball,
Levi.
man. When are you gonna?
That's
come play
right,
pickleball
Matt.
with us, Matt.
Oh man, I did. So when I was Christmas shopping for the kiddos, I saw some pickleball. I don't know, what do you call them? Paddles, rackets? What are they?
Paddles.
It's a paddle.
Paddles. Okay. I saw some paddles. I was like, maybe I just buy one of these for myself for Christmas and just show up. I'm curious. I'm warm curious about pickleball. So
You're gonna get hooked, man, and you're gonna be playing every week with us. I promise you.
all right. Well, I already told G. I have a goal before. What was the date? June 29.
June 10th.
June 10 to get to 175. I think on the way down there, once I get close to that weight, we'll be in pickleball weight range.
I tell you what, you start playing pickleball now, dude. You'll be at that weight come like February. I promise you.
That's right. That's right.
Well, okay. We'll talk offline. We'll get me out there maybe once a week, buddy. We'll figure it out.
Absolutely.
All right.
Awesome, guys.
All right,
Thanks
well,
so much.
guys.
Have a great night.
Yeah.
Good seeing
Thanks,
you.
Levi.